Buying honey at a grocery store can be so confusing. I'm hoping I can make it clearer for you with this description. Raw honey is honey that comes straight out of the honeycombs, and the beekeeper will put it through a metal fine mesh sieve to strain out any bees' parts like a wing or a leg, and it's never put under high heat, but it may be heated slightly if it has crystallized, just to re-liquefy it. Most labels for raw honey will say unpasteurized, which basically means not cooked. They won't usually say raw on the label, although they could. Crystallized honey, which is not sold, but raw honey over time will become chunky and maybe even solid, and that's called crystallization. And that happens when the fructose and sucrose bind together. Your honey has not gone bad. It is still totally edible. It just isn't very pleasant to put it in your mouth and feel all those sharp pieces of the crystallized honey. So what you do is you remelt it, as I mentioned with the raw honey description, is you boil some water, take it off the heat, and then set your jar of honey in the water, and that will melt the crystals and re-liquefy it. So just remember, crystallized honey is perfectly healthy honey to eat. It hasn't gone bad. Something you won't see at the grocery store is honeycombs. And that's where the beekeeper's taken a frame of capped honeycombs and cut it out of the frame and put it into little containers to sell to you. And that is the honeycomb and the honey inside it, and you can totally eat the whole thing. The wax of bees is completely edible, and it actually is very pleasant to chew, and then you can swallow it too. It won't interrupt your digestive system in any way, or you can spit out the wax once you've done. It's kind of a thrill to bite down on a honeycomb and have all the honey gush out in your mouth. It's kind of exciting and fun. So that's something you might want to try sometime. The best place to get that, of course, would be from a local beekeeper. A local beekeeper might sell what's called chunk honey, and that's where they filled up a jar with liquid honey, which is raw, and then they're adding in pieces of honeycomb as well. Creamed honey, which you can buy in the stores or from your local beekeeper, is raw honey, unpasteurized honey, and I'm going to do another posting on creamed honey. I'll probably do it tomorrow, where the beekeeper will go through a little process to cause the liquid honey to become creamy and smooth. It is basically crystallized honey, but the crystals are smooth. And moms like this because then if you put your knife in the cream honey, the honey doesn't drip off. So it's great for children to eat because it's not as messy as the liquid honey can be. Pasteurized honey has been processed with high heat, which kills all yeast that naturally occur in honey. It would also destroy any health benefits such as enzymes, pollen, amino acids, vitamins, minerals, and of course the pollen. It's been heated to as high as 71 degrees Celsius, 160 Fahrenheit. The reason why the large honey producers heat the honey so high, pasteurize it, is simply for shelf life, so that it won't crystallize for a very, very long time. They do this because they know that the consumer, which is you, if you pick up a jar off the shelf and you see it's half crystallized, you won't buy it. You'll put it back on the shelf and look for another jar that's still liquid. They don't want their honey in the squeeze bottles to crystallize because then you can't squeeze the honey out. So there's that logic as well. That's why they heat it so high, so it'll be more appealing to you. But the pasteurized honey is not really what's the best honey for you. You're better getting the unpasteurized, uncooked honey. All governments have rules for the labeling of honey. So when we were selling honey, we must have certain things on our label. So we would have the Ontario honey symbol would be on our label, as well as saying 100% Ontario honey, so it's not a blended honey. And so every country will have rules about what things must be on a label, and that applies to the Manuka honey as well, where it would have the MGO listing of how high the health-saving, wound-healing benefits are in that particular tested batch. The rule for all honey is not to give it to a child under 1 year of age. The reason why they say that is because there's like 1 in 10 billion% chance that there could be a botulism in the honey, and a young baby under a year, their intestines don't have enough of a buildup of the bacteria to take care of any kind of a pathogen. But after a year of age, they've developed that good bacteria in their system that can handle these little bugs that might be there.